This is going to take some work here for Claudia and me. It's Odyssey 11, lines 90 through 137. And we'll just see as far as we can go for round one, and then we'll go to round two and so on. Well, at line 90, we see that the psukhe, the disembodied conveyor of identity that belongs to Teiresias, comes to Odysseus. I know that you're fascinated with the fact that he's holding a golden scepter. Do you want to say anything right away about it?
Sure. I think one of the things that we have spoken about in an earlier conversation was that Teiresias has a steadfast mind, even in death.
Yes.
And actually, scepters are associated with this idea of being steadfast, and it has to do with the movement of the scepter, I think,
Yes,
the way that it moves around.
And you've worked on that. And do you want to tie it up a little bit with the work, the research that you've done on that?
Well, I think it has to do with the word empedos
Yes.
and the adjective asphales, which are actually both associated also with the movement of a chariot around a turning post.
That's right.
So this makes us think about the ideas of semas and signs, as we've been talking about it in this hour. But I think, I don't want to go too far off on that right now because we have so much to cover here, and this is such a beautiful passage. But I think it's important when we think about the scepter. I know that you've studied this so much in so many beautiful ways about its association with kingship.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because you could even say, if you zoom out of the whole thing, that the Odyssey is about kingship. And so if Odysseus is going to get this life-altering message when he goes to the land of the unconscious, the realm where you have to get your bearings so that you can then come back illuminated. If that's what he wants, then the message better be about how to become a king again. And he's still nowhere. He's absolutely nowhere. But the way Teiresias is going to code this message will certainly put Odysseus on the way towards kingship. So I quite agree with you that the scepter here is a very important marker. And so he recognized me, and that's nice, and said, and then he talks about drinking blood. Now this is very self-consciously referring to practices of hero cult, because we know from the historical period, when people make references to how they worship heroes, that the procedure is that you slaughter a ram, let's say, sacrificially slaughter a ram, and then when you pour the blood of the ram over the ground where the body, the corpse of the hero, is supposedly lodged, then that blood makes contact with that body and activates the consciousness of the body. So this isn't so much Teiresias specific, it's just the way you worship heroes. And Teiresias is going through the motions of responding to a call for an opinion. And a worshiper of a hero would be doing that not in Hades, but in cult practices.
Can I ask a question? So when you say the consciousness would be activated, what kind of Greek word should we be tracking and thinking about there? Noos, psukhe?
I would say noos, and the word that you mentioned earlier, phrenes, because phrenes is the pathway to achieving noos.
Okay.
Phrenes in the sense of consciousness.
Thank you.
So I think that would work. And when I say that the blood activates the consciousness, it's interesting that if, again, you look at various prose accounts, some of the words that refer to the consciousness of the hero have to do with the kind of advice they give. So, for example, if you have a medical ailment and you want the opinion of a cult hero about how to alleviate your medical problem, the hero's answer will be a diagnosis. That's the first attested use of diagnosis, which is a remedy, so to speak, or a reasoned opinion kind of remedy for what is ailing you.
In an oracular context?
In an oracular context. And when you say oracular context, well, isn't this an oracular context as well? And you would say, well, what's ailing Odysseus? Well, what ails me, Odysseus could say, is I can't get home. And I want to find out how to get home.
Right.
And it hurts.
Right.
Because after all, it's all about argale. It's all about all the sufferings that you have to undergo because you're trying to make it back home and you can't.
But also your noos, we've seen through the work of Douglas Freeman, through your work, is so crucial to your nostos.
Yes.
And here we have the person with steadfast phrenes giving you a how-to on how to keep your phrenes steadfast, right?
Yes.
And that's what he needs to do in his noos.
So it's a perfect match here. It's just the perfect thing to do. And so that's why when Teiresias did drink the black blood, I'm now at line 98, he can start giving the formula. And we'll reserve our discussion of what the formula is for our next session, but we should give a sneak preview, which is the first word that you see here at line 100. In the original Greek is Nostos. It goes in the original Greek, noston didzei. Oh, so you're looking for your Nostos. You're searching for your Nostos. Well, I'll tell you.